However, the move of the demons that would sneer upon their efforts had already begun. Battler? Solved the riddle of the epitaph, you say? Yes. Though we had a lot of help from that Erica girl, Battler was the one who reached the answer. Erica has proclaimed that she will abandon her rights to the Golden Land. Therefore, the one who reached the Golden Land is Battler. Fate can be truly amusing. To think that Battler-sama would make it there. What will you do, Beato? You promised to stop the ceremony if anyone solved the epitaph's riddle. Yes, that was the deal. That was the deal, indeed. Apparently, Battler-sama does not intend to become the master of the Golden Land. It now seems that no one will become our master. That is also fate. It has been several decades since we first manifested to the human world through our bond with Lord Goldsmith. The time since then has been so very fun. Come on, Leah, you sound like an old lady. So, what are we gonna do? If we go by Riche and the Goldsmith's rules, now that Battler solved the epitaph and decided not to become our master, we've been relieved from duty, right? That's true. I have no regrets at all. I have been prepared to be kicked down into Cositis all this time. Wait, we can't let that happen. You might not have any regrets, but I will keep on serving Natsui. It would be quite irresponsible to let ourselves be relieved from duty just because Battler solved the epitaph. Witches are forbidden from breaking contracts, but they also must not fail to show gratitude. True. We should serve her until the family conference ends. In that case, you won't be relieved from duty for a while either, Lord Goldsmith. Perhaps you should wait until you've overcome this family conference safely, said goodbye to Natsui-sama at the very least, and, if possible, rewarded her for all her efforts. Indeed, she has done well supporting my foolish son. You're a fallen angel with one of its wings plucked off, aren't you? Just leave the other wing as a parting gift and go. Indeed, perhaps that would be fitting. Natsui may be worthy of bearing my wing. However, we are approaching the critical moment. Your reward is waiting for you. Try to make it through this test unscathed, Natsui. I'm gonna drink more Pepsi. The mountain of gold left everyone speechless. Regardless of how strongly they had believed in its existence, no one could look at this much real gold and not be shocked. To think a place like this existed, I can't believe it. That Dad... Everyone was stunned by this gold. The first one to break the silence and jump around in ecstasy was Hideyoshi. Letting out an excited laugh, he clung to the wall of gold. Then he felt the cold, hard touch of it all over his cheek. This is incredible! It's the real thing! That damn dad of ours, sticking this much gold in such a ridiculous place. Now that we have this much, we no longer have anything to fear. With this, we could overcome any kind of trial. Rosa! Nay-san, we'll be able to find happiness with this, right? Ava and Rosa moved toward each other at the same time and hugged as they broke down crying. Ecstasy and shock, wonder and sighs. After stepping forward in front of this pile of gold that had caused these mixed emotions, Erica spoke as though she were an announcer in a game show. If this world is money, this gold is the embodiment of happiness. Congratulations, everyone. I pray that this discovery makes all your lives richer. I take my hat off to you. To think you'd solve the epitaph in a single day of coming to this island. If you couldn't solve it in a single day, then you wouldn't be able to solve it no matter how many days you had. After all, it doesn't take more than an instant for your little gray cells to give you a flash of intuition. Also, I wouldn't have been able to solve this riddle myself. I ask that you praise Battler-san's achievement as well, everyone. I abandon any rights to this discovery. I am already satisfied to have my reasoning proven correct, so I'd like to give Battler-san full credit. I may be here, but please continue your discussion as though I wasn't. Battler-san called all of the adults here, making sure that none of the cousins would notice. That can only mean one thing. He must have wanted to begin the true family conference with all of you. Erica, quit deciding things on your own. My apologies. In that case, I'll step down as the facilitator of these proceedings. So, who will take my place? Shrugging, Erica looked around at everyone. After a short period of silence, Ava made the first move. None of us have forgotten the deal we made earlier today, right? Yeah, divide it between the four of us, with 2.5 for each, and then the successor gets another 10 billion. Well, wait a second. Who decided that the one who discovers the gold becomes the successor? Hold up. You won't be able to get away with that, Natsue-san. We've all been arguing based on the premise this whole time, haven't we? You really think you can pretend that never happened now? That's right. Weren't you the one worrying about how, if one of the servants solved the riddle, they might consider themselves the successor? But nowhere is it explicitly written that that's the truth, right? You bastard! We were all well aware of it, weren't we? That's right, Aniki. Are you going to change your position this late in the game? Although it was never stipulated, I believe it was common knowledge between us. I don't see how you can suggest we ignore it completely. You can't just interpret the head's epitaph however you like. Where is it written that the one who finds the gold becomes the successor? Well, I mean, it's so easy to fix this, Natsui. Just have Kenzo come out of a study and explain the truth. The epitaph was decided upon by the head, who is currently very alive and well, and simply taking a nap that's not supposed to be disturbed. You have no right to decide these things for yourselves. I mean, you do if the person who would have the right to decide them refuses to have any involvement, due to being dead. Calm down, Natsui, you're overplaying your hand. How could I calm down? Yes, I do find it quite impressive that Battler-kun solved the epitaph. I certainly believe he should be rewarded for it. However, it clearly is a stretch to suggest he deserves half of everything. And you won't get away with this argument that the discoverer becomes the successor. That's low, Natsue-san. This is completely different from what you were saying earlier today. I agree. Though it was never stipulated, the fact that whoever solves the epitaph becomes the successor has always been the greatest unwritten rule we've had. It's not fair if you start complaining about that at the last second, right? It isn't fair. Anyway, this gold is Father's. We can't decide how it will be split without Father's permission. No way. That's low, Natsui-san. We were talking about this on and on earlier, right? Are you saying that the whole conversation today was a bunch of bull? It's just ain't right. Why don't we just vote on it? Battler-kun, the one who found the gold, is the successor. My husband and I have no objections. What about you, Rudolph and Kairi-san? Rosa? No objections here. Nice going, Battler. I have no objections either. You gotta say either or either. Battler-kun is the true successor, chosen by the epitaph. If you aren't satisfied, then why don't we just ask Father directly? That's right! Like you just said, Natsuine-san, father is the one who wrote the riddle of the epitaph, and he's also the proper owner of this gold. In that case, shouldn't we talk to father about this directly? How should Battler-kun, the person who discovered the gold, be treated? I believe father is the only one capable of making such a decision. But didn't I tell you to calm down? Rosa and Kairi-san are right. Let's ask father. Your turn is already over, Nissan Natsuine-san. Yeah. Bring father out to us. We won't get anywhere with just you two. Let's begin the real family conference. Does this look like something you can put off just because he's tired? If we take this thing lightly, we'll have a massive problem on our hands. Hey, are you listening? We won't get anywhere with just you. Bring father out right now. Our family conference is always like this. How the hell did I know? They're probably always like this on the inside. Looks like they won't be able to get this figured out right now without Kenzo-san. To think he's been being called out to settle his children's fight, even though he's been announced that he has only a short while to live. I wonder how he feels about that right now. Giggle. Imagining that. No reasoning that out will be a treat. The parents ignored Battler and Erica and kept yelling at each other on and on, even though Battler had more or less imagined this sort of thing happened behind the scenes. This was the first time he'd seen it. He'd suspected it since 6 years ago, and he'd been able to get a pretty good idea of what this was like by the darkening expressions on his parents' faces when this time of year drew near. However, this argument his relatives were having before his very eyes was much more ugly than he'd imagined. That's why he was very glad that he'd called the adults out here without letting the cousins catch wind of anything. Perhaps because everyone was tired out from this seemingly endless argument, they took a short break. It was decided this family conference inside the Golden Land should be moved over to the mansion. This place may have been gorgeous, like a VIP room, but there was no heating and it was a little cold. It wasn't well suited for a long conversation. They thought of the possibility that someone might snatch the gold away while their backs were turned. It is a giant how? It would take a lot, and there's even if it wasn't a typhoon. But of course, no one could manage much with just human hands in a small amount of time when it's 10 tons of gold they're dealing with. In fact, it might be said having this mountain of gold in the background was actually robbing them of their ability to make sound decisions. Heck, since we're here, everyone can just pick up a bar of gold and carry it with them. So they agreed to return to the mansion in part, so they could regain their composure and continue the conference more cold-bloodedly. Also, because that means we can have fresh Pepsi, because there's no drinks here, there's no heating or cooling, and there's no fan, there's no air circulation, it smells funny here. Can we have, like, incense and a fan and proper heating and pillows and blankets and thigh-high socks? You guys can't see it, but I'm giving you the cheekiest grin right now. Ear to ear. Then, if you would excuse me for the night, I imagine I'd just get in the way if I remained any longer. Sure, sorry. Did we bother you too much? Let us show our gratitude again tomorrow. Sorry for letting you see such an embarrassing side of us. You said that you refused. But allow us to prepare a fitting portion out of gratitude for you as one of the first to discover the gold. Right, Nissan? Yes. We know that what you're capable of. I think you can grasp our current circumstances. 20 billion yen in gold isn't something they wanted out in the open. They didn't want another outsider like Erica telling people about it. Of course, Erica had already reasoned out that much. She wore an unpleasant smile on her face as though she understood all too well. You don't need to worry about me, of course. I have no desire to tell anyone else about this, and if I did, no one would believe me without proof. I got to see something interesting tonight. It was quite a spectacle, so I'm more than satisfied. I see. I guess it's not every day you see 10 tons of gold. Seeing the gold was the spectacle? Of course not. Judging by Erica's dark nature, it's obvious that what she was so happy about. I thought about telling her to just go away, but even I wanted to get out of this place. I tried to head back to the guest house along with Erica, however Kairi-san grabbed my shoulder. You can't go, Battler-kun. Please come with us. Yes, you're now a real successor. You've gotta have an audience with Father and have him acknowledge you right away. That's something only family head may decide. Don't make things up on your own. Battler, I realize it'll be a pain, but stick around with us for a bit longer. Don't say anything. Just stay quiet and keep your head down. Got it? Just do whatever you want. It would have been easy to say that I had no interest in being the successor. But I was sure that would only add more oil to the fire. Even if I hadn't been ordered to keep quiet, staying shut up like a clam was clearly a good idea. In that case, would it really be so bad if they just let me go back to the guest house? Dad put his arm firmly around my shoulder and I told him it was uncomfortable and to let go. However, he didn't pay attention to a word I said. I've solved the epitaph just like you wanted. But did you really? When you were the game master, we'd always get those letters to try and solve the epitaph. If you don't, I'll kill you all.